Please welcome the Chief Marketing Officer at Saudi Tourism Authority, Asmaa Quorrich, in conversation with Skift founder and CEO, Rafat.
Asmaa, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this for us. So we're at a stage where I've unbuttoned my jacket at the stage of the conference, and we're just going to completely riff. And the bad news is the people who did not stay, Asmaa is not giving a cent to them. So she only happens to be the CMO of Saudi Tourism Authority. Saudi, as you very well know, is going through an incredible transformation. And I'm not just saying that. I was there the week before this for the WTTC conference that happened. I have family that lives there, and so I visited them as well. And the last time I went was 23 years ago. And so this is before we were talking before. This was before 9/11. So the world was a whole different place. Saudi was a very different place then. And so this was after 23 years, I visited Saudi and met Asmaa there at the conference as well. And we've been talking quite a lot. And I think Saudi, I don't think I've ever thought about Saudi so much than I have in the last 2 weeks, because there's so much happening. So you have to get 100 million tourists by 2030. That's your goal.
Correct.
And not only do you have to do that, you have to change perception, create interest, then create demand. Go.
Wow. Not challenging at all. Just right in the park. Thank you so much for having me, Rafat.
Of course.
It's so good to see you again in such a short period of time. What an incredible time for tourism. It has been what an incredible month. As His Excellency Hilal said, there is a lot happening in the region. What an amazing time, actually, to bring forums such as this one to the Middle East. It's a big moment for the Arabs and for the Middle East. Going back to my challenge, so I always say there is nothing that should be intimidating for any marketing professional, because it's all about knowing exactly what you're dealing with, slicing and dicing everything. And I mean, my friends in Jumeirah who are here, they used to hear me say...
Welcome back home, as they would probably say.
Yes, back home, but my heart is still in Jumeirah. I always say it's all about peeling the onion. So you need to work on your audiences, understand who you're talking to, and prioritize what you need to deal with. The world is not there is no one-size-fits-all in general. So yes, we do have to reach this very challenging target. We are not very far from reaching it, by the way. But the world, we look at the world in different lenses. So we do dissect, we differentiate between our domestic tourists, our neighbors in Middle East and Africa, the people who are connected to us. So there is air connectivity, there is understanding of the culture, there is proximity, and there is religious tourism that is already existing. How do we build on that? Then we look at the rest of the world that is further away. I mean, the people who are not connected to us, or the people who don't know much about us. Then there is the skeptics. So nothing is discouraging. We are paying very clear attention to our audiences worldwide. There is a huge mandate of making people aware of the Saudi being open as a destination, which is what we have been doing over the last 2 years. Now that people are conscious and aware, we have reached a very high level of awareness globally, from 65% in Europe and America to 100% in the region. We are all about educating and ensuring that we are speaking to people the language that they are receptive to, and making them consider our destination for whatever interest that they have. So it's all about understanding the mission per market, per target, per time, basically.
And you have some history in this, because you were heading Pepsi in this region out of Dubai. Yes. And so FMCG marketing is obviously the most scientific marketing possible in business. And so what are the lessons you're bringing from FMCG marketing that the travel industry may not have used in the past or Saudi is now looking at?
I see some smiles there. Okay, so this is the most popular question for me ever, always. How did you transfer FMC? I mean, I used to get it when I was in Jumeirah Group because it's luxury hospitality, and I was coming from, literally, to Jumeirah, I came from KFC, fried chicken. So the person responsible for hiring me is sitting right there. So let me explain it. If you are able to sell a commodity of water and sugar worth 1 dirham, which is way less than $1, you definitely can sell an experience. Selling a product is easier in terms of, it's harder. Why? Because you are not really impacting people's lives when you're doing that. You are capitalizing on either a functional need when you are selling something like a detergent, where I started in Procter & Gamble, or you are leveraging something emotional but instant, like a thirst quenching with the likes of Pepsi and some enjoyment. But it's very instant. An hour later, you walk and then you forget about it. Why is FMCG important? It is important because it teaches us the art of consumer targeting. We become marketing purists. We understand the consumer decision framework. We know how to go into purchasing behavior, how people think, how they dream, how they act. And there is a word that is a bit negative, but it does describe it well, which is the manipulation. So actually, my entire time, and I've been doing this for a very long time until today, I read a lot about people's brain activity and consumer behavior, because you need to understand what triggers a person to act. What is that unlock that you do? So when you are distanced from your consumer and you speak to them and then you have no idea where they are, and then they have to go to a supermarket to buy the product, because you're never going to go to Amazon to buy a can of Pepsi, obviously.
Right.
You need to do a huge deal of research and understanding the consumer behavior and the purchasing protocol and everything. So when you have an opportunity to sell an experience, for me, it is a no-brainer. It's much easier because there is something tangible in there that is going to touch people with greatness. And quite frankly, when I left FMCG, I actually decided never to work in corporate anymore. But when Jumeirah came, I was like, hold on one second. Travel and hospitality is something totally different. We are impacting people's energies. We're allowing them actually to distress from whatever they are in. We are giving them an experience that is worth millions. It's not about the price tag that you put on a room. It's about how you feel when you get in and how you feel when you get out, and how that keeps something with you. In travel, it's even more advanced than just specifically a hospitality sector. It is about you changing perceptions. This is about you discovering another side of yourself, which is actually the tagline of our campaign with Leo Messi. So,
yeah. Can we play that video with Messi, and can we do that, and we're going to chat about it?
Thank you.
Why do we travel? To discover the unimagined, to see new places, new realms, new worlds. We travel to step into the extraordinary, discovering not just new things to see, but new ways to be. Discover another side of yourself in Arabia.
It's interesting. So Arabia is a thing that you're trying to, the word Arabia, you're trying to do something with it. Go ahead and talk about it.
Yes, so basically, for all the Arabs in the room, Saudi Arabia is now the country, but that is like 90% of the land of the Arab world. It is the birthplace of Arabia. This is where Arabia was born. Anybody who knows Saudi knows that we have 6 protected UNESCO sites. There is so much history, so much heritage in that place. You cannot believe. We effortlessly speak about it because it's legitimate, it's there, it's amazing. So I'm not going to say we claim it back, but it's legitimately sitting there. So this is where Arabia was born. And this ad, going back to it, what are we trying to say here? And referring to the question you asked Issam this morning about celebrity management. I know, people think that by bringing in a celebrity, it's just a commercial transaction. Sometimes it is, but the way at least we approach it is very different, because yes, a celebrity is important because the person has following. It's like a giant medium for you. However, making sure that you choose the right ambassador who represents the values of your brand and who also sends the right message. Leo Messi is a respectable footballer who has been authentic, true to himself forever. And you guys are watching him play and you see him, so you understand what I'm talking about. At the same time, very private, and he likes to do things in I wouldn't say in secrecy, but he's not overexposed. So for him to come and discover Saudi in different ways and go through different experiences, he also is demonstrating that when you do that, you discover other sides of yourself as you are traveling, when you do adventure, when you do landscape trekking, when you do any kind of activity, water sports, etc. So it's important for us to, going back to the FMCG question, Rafat, it's about transforming people, touching them in a different way, and travel does cut across and does bring people closer to each other. I usually mention this. I'm a Fulbright scholar, and when I went to the US as a Fulbright scholar, I was told this program is for you to be culturally closer to the United States and for Americans to be closer to people outside, and travel does that job as well. It's about bringing people together. The more people travel, the more they become open-minded about other nations, other cultures, other ways of living, and it promotes mutual understanding. And you don't have really to just watch, the news channels reporting on bad news.
Right.
You will have your own opinion on other cultures and other nations.
And so, in terms of the stage you're at in storytelling for the country itself, are you still at the country level, or are you now, like obviously these mega projects which are, I guess not yet fully online, I think 24, 25, 26, a lot of them are unlocking then, Red Sea, Neom, that are here, Alula is here as well, and Diriyah Gate was there as well when I went there. And so, the question I'm trying to ask is, at what point do you involve locals telling the story? Because one of the things I was struck by, this was in my visit, is just how hopeful the young people have become. Because that's the biggest challenge. I mean, one of the reasons why Saudi is putting so much effort into tourism is not just to attract people to come to the country and revenue, etc., but is to pull the country and make the youth more hopeful about the future. More jobs, just more generally hopeful. So at what point do you lean into locals to tell the story?
Thank you for asking this question, because as opposed to what a brain might think it's just about visitation, it's just about bringing people in. Our ambition, obviously, I met one of my ex-colleagues a few minutes ago, and she was asking me, Asmaa, as the CMO, what's your KPI? And I was like, everyone's KPI is visitation, is the 100 million, obviously, and 10% contribution to the GDP. But most importantly, we would like to have 1 million jobs created within the sector. We are definitely going to be the #1 recruiter in the entire sector, in the entire Saudi Arabia. I would say Saudi is going to be developing Saudis to welcome the world to Saudi Arabia. That's our job. Our minister, His Excellency Ahmed Al-Khatib, speaks about this all the time. It's important for us. We currently have a lot of training programs, but we also have frontliner incentive programs and training programs to promote the Saudi hospitality. We have been close to the world for a while.
Right.
There is a lot of things to discover about the people of Saudi Arabia. They are actually warm and hospitable, and I think you've experienced it yourself. I myself moved to Saudi 8 months ago, and I was struck by how approachable, how easygoing, how welcoming they are. So our job is to make sure that people transcend that energy and transfer it to the rest of the world, and at the same time develop their ability to serve others. So the ambition is to have a majority, and again, I mean, you were there in WTTC. Sustainability is not just about recycling plastic. Sustainability is also about utilizing local resources. And local resources are not just about water and the solar panels. It's about utilizing the local people in the jobs. It's about making sure, and I don't know if you remember the Ed Norton session when he was talking about we need to make
that was great.
That was the most brilliant session by Ed Norton in WTTC when he was speaking about it's about your source of water, your source of energy, and how many of your people are local people. Do you leave the money in the country or do you take it away as a hospitality chain, for example? So yes, we are 100% behind this cause. We are developing the Saudi frontliners, middle managers, and even like, for example, in our offices. I mean, we have amazing talents and we continue to grow more, and that's why we are very passionate about this as a key pillar for our growth.
And sustainability, and we've been working with Red Sea, now Red Sea Global, NEOM. Everybody is very, very laser focused on sustainability, and not only sustainability, but leave it better than we found it mentality. It seems that has sort of permeated through everybody you talk to, all the reporting we've done as well, they seem to be very serious about it. Yes. So how will you use that to then use in a marketing fashion?
Okay, so first of all, just to add to what you're saying, we are fortunate to come last to tourism because we are learning from everybody else and we're building on whatever is already available. So we are lucky to have Virgin Islands untapped resources, but that also comes with a responsibility because if you're going to open it up, you surely cannot damage it. So we are very proud of our DMOs. And I know that we have Melanie here from Al-Ula. We have NEOM that is developing. We have the Red Sea Global that is also pushing forward. And they are giving me the best stories to tell. I mean, thank you guys, seriously. And building on the first part of your previous question, we are at the service of the DMOs. We are a tourism board. Our job is to give them the stage. Our job is to promote Saudi Arabia at large and to give them the possibility to tell their stories, that are consistent with our big mission. So for me, it's all...
Do you need water?
Yeah, I need water.
Okay. Can we get a bottle, please?
Sorry. For me, this is all good news because instead of just saying come and there is an event here and there is this there, I also say, thank you. Thank you. So I was saying, it's not just about the diversity of the landscapes or the concerts in Riyadh or the diverse activities or the Red Sea Festival. It is also about doing good on earth. And you were there in WTTC. We are very serious about playing a very crucial role in driving sustainability in tourism moving forward in Saudi Arabia. So yes, the DMOs are helping us tell this amazing story.
The luxury traveler versus sort of the mass, we've talked about this a little bit before. Sort of the mega projects, when you talk to them, they're mostly focused on, or at least it seems like, mostly focused on the upper end of the market. But your job obviously is much larger than that. One, how do you think about sort of the mass market versus luxury? Two, how are you cooperatively working with the mega projects?
Okay, so yes, I agree that most of the giga projects are skewed to luxury. And we do have, this is one of the biggest conversations that we have in our boardroom. It's But remember, a lot of the giga projects are projected to happen, with the exception of Al-Ula that is already established. They are projected to be active in a few years. But our mandate is today, so we work today. There is a lot more that's happening currently in Saudi Arabia than the giga projects. Obviously, the world has heard so much about the giga projects and everybody's super excited about it, but we do have a reality that we live by today. Our reality today is a mixed bag. So it is about mass tourism. It is about making sure that people come for a weekend and discover Riyadh. It is about making sure that people who come for Umrah go and discover Jeddah and the Red Sea.
Sorry.
So we have that, and one of our partners from Saudi Arabia yesterday was talking about the gathering. He was talking about the massive development that they're making. This is all for mainstream travel. And we are also developing hospitality chains. And I mean, you know that we have the Tourism Development Fund that is there to support the development of anything from a tourism perspective to help the private sector develop and support, not just the big chains. We have all that set up, but we are not closing our eye, and we are fully conscious, especially, and like I said earlier, think about it. Yes, maybe an American is going to fly for 2 weeks and would want to stay in Habitats in Al-Ula because that's the luxury hospitality he or she is looking for. But if you're speaking to the people who are closer to us, they need to come for the GCC and North Africa. They are looking for something more affordable. India is the same. And when we look at, and then of course when China opens up and with the rest of Asia Pacific, it's a really mixed bag. And remember, religious tourism is a big bucket for us, and it falls within our remit. And we would like to enrich it with the recent launch of Nusuk, where we are allowing people to book their Umrah on their own without necessarily going through third-party channels. We are also allowing them to come and discover the rest of Saudi. So all this does require a lot of supply in mainstream hospitality. Not
so
just
one of the campaigns that I was watching, speaking of current, I think both of us are losing our voice, by the way. Winter in Saudi. I saw it last night at the game, as the match was going on as well. Can we play the winter in Saudi? I don't know if you have it queued up or not. I guess they do. Okay. No, this is not winter in Saudi. Oh, I think this is maybe they're.
This is Melanie. It's Al-Ula.
It's Al-Ula. Okay, this is the wrong one. But we all, it's okay if you're not playing it. But winter in Saudi, I saw this campaign last night in the game as well. So that's a campaign for current come to Saudi in this winter campaign. So actually, let's end with this, which is the religious tourism market obviously has been there for forever. So how are you thinking about and you've made the visa process very easy for a lot of countries. I think the biggest thing that this region can do in general is to just open visas, open flights. You're putting so much effort into airlift, Saudi Airlines, and with the new airline coming as well, that we had some, I think we saw some of the stuff at WTTC for that as well. So how are you thinking about that part, which is working with, for instance, the airlines and the hospitality, et cetera, to build capacity, and then how to use the existing Umrah tours, for instance, to help bring the mass?
So religious tourism, the way we look at it is in two ways. One, we have to obviously grow the religious tourism from Umrah's perspective. Like I was mentioning a few minutes ago, we kind of democratized Umrah by opening it up. So
you can on any visa, you can do
You can do the visa, you can have your visa easily. Now, before, Umrah was only for people who have an Umrah visa. Today, you can apply for your e-visa, you can have any visa possible, and you can still go and do Umrah. So that is one barrier broken already. And then we have now even stopover visa for 96 hours. There is a lot of, I mean, as you said, most of what the efforts in the beginning and the most successful campaigns, even before my time, were on visas and allowing people to come, because it wasn't the case before. So Umrah, we have to grow, obviously, the numbers and encourage people by facilitating everything from access to the country to within the country. I mean, we have a high-speed train connecting Mecca and Medina today, which makes things much easier. And at the same time, there are people who are not so sure, the hesitant Muslims who are not sure it's for them. So we are about to launch an amazing campaign to attract everybody and open the door to all of them. And then on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, it's also about encouraging people. So we do work, to answer your question, we do work with the private sector. Obviously, there is a lot of development happening in Jeddah. And us as a tourism board, we work on the value proposition of different areas in the country. And we have the chance to influence what's the definition of every region. So when we say people from Umrah are going to go and visit Jeddah or the area, we do work with those destinations within the country to ensure that they are developed from a hospitality perspective, connectivity perspective. We look at the entire channels, the entire funnel. We don't just look at one thing and we leave the tourist in there. As a tourism board, we are responsible for ensuring that the entire consumer journey is fulfilled from A to Z, and that has a lot of interdepartmental collaboration. I mean, this morning, this afternoon, or this morning, I can't remember, it was Dubai Inc. We have the equivalent of that in Saudi as well. We need to work with every single region. We need to ensure that everybody is ready. We cannot work independently. We work as an entire cohesive system.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Let's end on that front. Thank you, Asmaa. Appreciate it. Thank you, folks.